So we will try to understand DOM manipulation. So we have a HTML file. In the HTML file, there is a div element with ID main area, and I'm executing a JavaScript file. This is scriptugly.js. Okay, so in the scriptugly.js, what is happening is that's a function, and then in the set interval, okay, this function is called every 5 seconds. Okay, so in this function, what is happening is I'm just populating this to dos array with this value. Okay, and then I'm populating random number of values. Okay, I'm calling this math random. With math random will return any number between 0 to 1, 0.1, 0.2, like that. Multiplying by 100, and then I'm floating it. So it can return any number between 1 to 100, right? So you can get any number between 1 to 100, and I'm putting those many values in the array. So this array is populated with those many data, only the ID is different, and I'm calling this create DOM elements. So in the create DOM element, what is happening is this data has to be displayed. This data, right, has to be displayed in the DOM. Usually in any web application, right, the data changes. Whenever the data changes, we have to change the display in the browser. How you change the display in the browser? By updating the DOM, right? So we are going to update the DOM with a plain JavaScript code, and we are getting this element. So here in this index.html only, we are going to update the data. So we are getting the element by ID main area. I'm just clearing all the existing data, and then I'm looping through all the to-dos which I got, right? I'm creating a div element, and I'm assigning the ID to the data set of the div element, and I am creating a h1 tag and assigning the title. I'm assigning some color for it, some margin for it. Okay, and then I'm creating h2 tag for the description. I'm assigning a different color for it, and then a button. Okay, and all this, right, h1 h2 button is appended. All these three grandchild 1 2 3 is appended to the child element. Child element is this div tag, and once this div tag is done, right, I'm appending this div tag to the main area. So this is how I update the DOM, and the content is displayed in the browser. Okay, and this is happening for all the elements in the to-do array, and this is how a DOM is getting updated. Okay, this is simple to understand, but this is called ugly because every time you go update, right, this is called for every 5 seconds, right? So every time you're calling this function, every 5 seconds you're calling this function, and every 5 seconds you are emptying the existing content, and you are creating new, you are updating the DOM newly, right? So this is very costly operation, and it takes a lot of time, right? So this you can avoid in a different way. Okay, how you can avoid this is, so basically, right, suppose for the first 5 seconds I have 10 to dos. Okay, and for the next 5 seconds I'm getting 5 to dos. Now what am I doing? I'm just clearing all the content and creating new content for this 5 to dos. Instead, what I can do is, instead of clearing this, I can compare each item. If the item is present, I can go update the content here, right? I'm going to go update the content here, and then any new content I can add newly to this, and remaining content, right, I can delete it, I can remove from it. Okay, this operation is less expensive, and performance will be little better, and that is what is done in less ugly. Okay, you're calling the same thing. Okay, same create DOM, but what is happening here is all the elements, right, in the main area, I am converting the data in the array into an array. So all the to dos, right, it comes, all the to dos divs, right, all the to do comes as a div, right? Div, that's the main div. This is the main area, and inside that there is a lot of divs. Div 1, div 2, like this, lot of divs are there. Each div has a to do. Correct? This is how our HTML file is, right? So I am converting that all the children to an array, right? And then and then and then what is happening is, in the array I am finding for each data, right? I am finding whether the same ID is present here or not. If it is present, now I am just updating my data in that. So here what I store is, I store the DOM objects here, right? So if I go change the inner.html of this, okay, so child 1 will be the first item, child is 0 will be the first item, 1 will be the second item. So 1 is the title, 0 is the title, and 1 is the description. I go update it here. Okay, so once I update it, I want to remove that element from this current array. Okay, so how I remove it? I just use a filter function. Only if it is not equal to the existing element, only if it is not equal to, I am storing in the new array. If it is equal now, that will not be stored. So existing whatever element you updated, that will not be stored here. So filter function, as you all know, right? You call on an array and you pass a function to the filter element. If this function will be called for each element in this array. If the function returns true, then that element will be popped in the new array, put in the new array. If this function return false, that element will not be put in the new array. So for this existing child alone, right, it will be equal, it will return false. So the existing child alone will not be put in the new array, other elements will be put. So the existing element will be removed from the current child array. Okay, so this is how you update the existing element. Okay, suppose a new element comes, right, you will not be able to find in the current array, and what you do is what you did before. You create the elements, right, and then you populate it. Okay, this is the same thing what I did in the previous ugly thing also, right? You create you don't have a choice, right? You have to create a new div, new span, and append it to the your parent document, right? That's what you do. Okay, once you have done that, basically, right, so you have updated anything that we updated as updated, and you have removed from the current array, right? And what are the new element you have added to the new element is added, right? And there will be remaining other elements will be there. Okay, suppose there are 10 elements and the new element is 5. In the new element there are 3 elements which is already present in the old DOM. So the 3 element is updated, 3 elements are removed, and there are remaining 7 elements, right, which is there not there in the new. We have to display only the new items. So the 3 old items are updated and the 2 new items in the 5 are added. The old 7 should be removed, correct? And the old 7 is removed here. So the remaining items here in the current array, right, you are going through all the things and you are removing that from your parent element, which is your main area. So this is how the old element is removed, and this is a little a better solution when compared to the previous one. Okay, so the next kind of improvement what we can do is, see here, whenever a new data comes, right, whenever a new data comes, what we are doing here, we are going and reading the DOM, right? You are reading the DOM, existing DOM, okay, and you are converting to an array, correct? And that is what you are doing, right? Every time your a new data comes, right? A new data comes, you are going and reading a DOM, right, and converting into an array. Okay, and then you do the comparison. Okay, can we avoid this read of the existing thing? How you can avoid this read? You're going and you have to go and read, right? How you can avoid the read? By keeping a copy. Okay, so whenever that is what is called as your virtual DOM. So the virtual DOM, this you'll have a global array where it has your old data. Your old data is available in the virtual DOM. That is the existing DOM, existing data. Whenever your new data comes, you need not go and read the DOM. You already have a copy. And you can do the comparison. This read can be avoided. Okay. So let's see how to do that. Okay. So for that, what we do is, you have a global array, which is a virtual DOM, right? And then what happens is, usually you update the virtual DOM. Okay. So whatever the existing data, that is your existing DOM. Okay. Whenever you update the data, right, you go first update your virtual DOM. Okay. So you go through all the items, right? You know map, right? Map, it runs on an array and it accepts a function. Okay. And the function will be called for all element in the array. And whatever the value is returned, that will be put in a new array. So for all the data, right, item.id, item.title, right, you put it in, you put that in id title, and the complete data, the to-do data will be available in the virtual DOM. Okay, this is a new DOM, correct? So you are passing the new DOM and the existing DOM. Existing DOM is the old VDOM, correct? So now, first time you pass, right? First time you pass a to-do, correct? Suppose it has 10 items. Okay, now this is the first time it is calling update virtual DOM, right? The existing virtual DOM is an empty array. So existing DOM is empty. Now your VDOM will contain 10 elements. Okay, this is your VDOM. Okay, it contains 10 elements. Okay, and then you do a comparison between your empty array and your 10 elements. Right? Next time you pass a to-do of 5 elements. Right? Now your existing DOM will have 10 elements. And the new DOM will contain 5 elements. You copied the 5 elements here. Now the existing DOM will have 10 elements and the new DOM will have 5 elements, and you do the comparison between those things, and accordingly you update the DOM. Okay. So the only difference here is, this is your current DOM, right? You iterate through your current DOM. Okay. And in the existing DOM, you find whether the element ID is there or not. Okay. So there is so this is how you go and find the existing child of it. Okay. Suppose this ID is matched. Okay, existing element is available. You have to go and get that corresponding child, right? So the data ID is equal to this item.id. So that is how you get the child, and you change the inner HTML. So you update it. Otherwise, you add it. Adding is same. And in the existing DOM, you have to basically remove your old item, correct? Okay, in the existing DOM for each, okay, you are going and removing the parent thing. You are removing the items to remove. What we did in the previous thing, right? So here the main advantage is, right, you have a copy of your old DOM in a variable, correct? You need not go read the content from the browser DOM. Reading and updating content from the browser DOM is expensive. Okay, this is what React does. This is what React virtual DOM. This is React nothing but as something kind of an empty array. That's it. For our data is simple, so we have an empty array. React has to show complex data, so it will use some complex data structure to store the existing content. And whenever you update, you have a virtual DOM. Okay, this is your old data. We check. Okay, and your new data comes. This is a new data comes. So this is a new data. This is the old data. We check. We update the thing which is added newly, right? We just do an update, and then whatever is new we add it, and we remove the something is removed, we remove it, which is done here in this code. Okay, this way we are just changing the we are just dealing with a local variable. There's nothing but local variable. So assessing and modifying a local variable will take 0.01 second, and updating a DOM, right, browser DOM, it may take 1 second or 0.1 second. So this is very fast. And this is the main use of React. Okay, apart from this, we can also do a batch update. Now what is batch update is, okay, see, you are basically, right, you are basically creating DOM elements, right? You are every second there's a create DOM element is called. What is the create DOM element? Is a create DOM element. Okay, and then array from or something. So every 1 second, your just lot of items are created. Okay, but you need not go up for every data change, right? You need not go update your the real DOM. What you do is you do the update after, suppose let's assume that there are initially 10 elements in the original first time. There are 10 to-dos. Every 1 milliseconds there is an update. Okay, first time there are 5 data. Okay, and then second time there is only 2 data, and there is only 1 data, and again there is 4 data. Right? This data, after this data goes, this data has overwritten this. After this data goes, this data has overwritten this. This you can collectively update, do a single update. This is called batch update. Batch. BACH. Okay, this is batch update. Okay, this will also improve the performance. And this is also done by React. React also does batch update. And this is the main use of React, right? It improves the performance.